Welcome back to Yanks Abroad, a big weekend, of course, for the U.S. men's national team. Gio Reyna saw his first start in God knows how long. Tim Weah scored a banger in the Champions League, although Juventus unfortunately went out. And of course, Tanner Tessman went up against PSG. Josh Sargent, 2 more goals. That's 7 in his last 6. And some unfortunate breaking news on Christian Pulisic missing his first ever career penalty as a professional, which is a pretty shocking statistic nonetheless. And we're going to obviously have to kick it off with Gio Reyna because it's not so often we get a start for Gio Reyna and Borussia Dortmund. It does seem like Gio Reyna will be moving on from Dortmund after this season. It seems like they are not just open to selling him, but certainly going to sell him. I know we've heard this in the past, but Gio Reyna and Dortmund, it just hasn't worked out. It's crazy that he has the 7 shirt, honestly. I was watching the match and it was a bit of a disappointing one. He played 70 minutes in a 6-0 win over Union Berlin. 70 minutes in a 6-0 win over Union Berlin, and he was shockingly bad in any of the 3 tackles he was a part of, and 3 out of 7 ground duels won. But to be honest, as you're watching this, you just see a player who doesn't show any type of responsibility on the pitch. He loves when the ball comes to him. You know, we've seen him be deadly in those left half spaces when the ball comes to him. He's got a great final action and some things that make him a really interesting footballer, but we really haven't seen him take responsibility in a match. He was hiding too often in this match. He didn't come and show to the ball. He kept making the same back post run over and over again when there was nothing even getting fed back there. And this is a player who needs to be in the central areas. He kept going out wide and putting his heels on the right wing touchline where Kareem Adeyemi was actually really enjoying some space out there and not really adding anything to the match by being out there. Gio Reyna needs to be a box crashing midfielder who, picks up the ball in and around the box and get his, his supreme ball striking, get his boot on it, or play a final pass that's really good. But being isolated out on the wing is not really where we see Gio Reyna at his best or really able to make any kind of impact. I was watching this match over and I was really confused why Gio Reyna wasn't showing to the ball. Like, he wasn't showing in between the lines where there was plenty of spaces to eat up. Everybody else was finding loads of joy in there, but he just kept running away from the dangerous areas of the pitch. And that's not going to be a player who's going to have a lot of impact. Like, this match really, really played into Dortmund's strengths as they ran up the. I don't know if he's a starter in this U.S. men's national team in this March break. He just has not found consistent form of any kind. And he's probably best as a game breaker coming on late with his, deadly final delivery. If we're throwing balls in the box over and over again, down a goal or in need of a goal, that's probably when Gio Reyna is at his best. Let's move on to Tim Weah and Weston McKennie, both, as well as Richie Ledesma was a part of this 120-minute match in the Champions League that went to extra time. It was a 3-1 win for PSV, which sees Ledesma move on to the next round of the Champions League, and Weah and McKennie are out. Ledesma will be a part of that PSV squad that takes on Arsenal in the next round of the Champions League. And we'll see if Ledesma keeps his spot because Sergiño Dest is close to coming back. But let's focus on Tim Weah, who really has blossomed for this Juventus side as a right back. And it's interesting because in the preseason, all the talk from Thiago Motta really was that he was going to use Tim Weah as a striker. And I think the first few times we saw him play after coming back from injury early in the year was as a striker. Then we saw him out on the left wing. And they've obviously had some major defensive issues. They've had defensive injuries. Actually, today in the match against Cagliari, Andrea Cambiasso went off injured. That's another fullback out injured. So it seems like this is Tim Weah's spot right now, but he's not taking that for granted. He has really, really grown defensively in this role. I mean, obviously the goal in this match is unbelievable from Tim Weah, and we will get to that. But his anticipation, his ability to get in the passing lanes, and truthfully, his ability to defend one-on-one against Noah Lang, who really is a dangerous winger. Like, he only got beat once, and to be honest, that time he got beat once, he didn't set his feet. He looks like a winger out there playing defense. That was really the worst I saw from him the entire match, but he did really, really well to force Noah Lang to either continuously go backwards or sideways or to intercept the ball or take the ball off of him, never overcommitting, keeping Noah Lang in front of him almost every single time. He's really developed excellent defensive instincts. And yeah, we've seen him play in a back five as a right wing back and a left wing back, Tim Weah. We know he's kind of had that defensive acumen, but he's actually taken it up a notch. This is a back four they've been playing recently, and he's playing as a true right back. And it's not just the defensive work because it is a different role playing as an overlapping fullback than as a right winger. Like, there's a different element to the attacking side of things. And he's become so good at holding the width of the pitch as well. Like he's got his heels all the way up on the touchline, kind of the way Gio Reyna was doing it in a poor way, but using really neat footwork on the sideline, playing forward balls and running after them and overlapping, and then getting a good cross in first time to Moani, who should have scored on one of those opportunities. He had two chances created, two key passes from that position, 34 of 40 passing. He won 3 tackles and 8 of his 10 ground duels. Like this is an all-around performance from a right back who deserved a incredibly well-hit goal, which was even better than McKennie's goal in the match prior. It's crazy. Juventus scored 2 goals over 2 legs in this tie with PSV, and both came from Americans on utter thunderbolt strikes. And the other thing about this Tim Weah performance that I really liked, other than the fact that him and Weston kind of played off each other nicely a few times down that right-hand side, is he's starting to develop that little inside pass with his left foot that really allows a right back to break the press in a different way, because oftentimes that ball comes out there and we know they want to play that ball up to the right winger with the right foot, kind of that longer pass on the ground or in the air into the channel, whatever it may be. But when you can start using this little left-footed dink pass into the midfielder, then you've really opened up an entire new kind of array of opportunities for you, because the presser has to, as much as they're going to shield you to that right side, they have to be ready for that other pass to come in, and then you can follow the ball and make even more magic happen. So Tim Weah, overall, an excellent performance from this right back position. He then played 90 minutes in a 1-0 win over Cagliari. Today, as I'm recording, it just finished. 53 of 56 passing, 2 chances created, 2 of 3 tackles won, 2 of 2 aerial duels won, and 3 of 8 ground duels won. McKennie played as well in this match. Not his best match for sure. Didn't really make the impact you wanted to see. Weston did have a really nice ball in that PSV match over the top to Muani that should have resulted in a goal. I mean, it was kind of a reverse over the top through ball to Muani, who's kind of let him down on his first touch and then was unable to score. He really should have gotten to a good scoring position and really should have scored. And it would have changed the match completely. Would have put Juventus up 1-0 instead of coming back the entire match and trying to, like, it really almost would have put the tie away. But McKennie was good in that PSV match, 36 of 47 passing, 2 chances created, 3 of 4 successful dribbles. He converted 2 of his 3 long balls and won 10 duels in the match. The last thing on Tim Weah I would like to say is, we've seen Yunus Musa do really well on this right wing spot for Pochettino in the U.S. men's national team, because I think that there's a lot about Musa's defensive acumen that Pochettino likes. But as Weah gets better and better at right back, and as we see Joe Scally maybe make that right back position his own, Tim Weah is going to add a little bit more dynamism down that right wing. He's going to add a little bit more attacking prowess. He'll be able to help us, be a little bit more press resistant. We know he's really good at controlling kind of longer out balls than Yunus Musa is. So it's a good option to keep open to have Tim Weah on that right wing, especially if Weston McKennie's going to be one of the more advanced midfielders potentially with Tillman out in March. So I think we should keep an eye on Tim Weah, maybe taking that right wing spot back from Yunus Musa after this good recent performances. And the last thing on this PSV match is Richie Ledesma, who I talk about a lot. He doesn't seem to be really that close to the U.S. men's national team setup right now. I think he may deserve a call-up in March if he continues to play like this, but if Dest is back and fit, it's going to be tough, obviously. But he played 78 minutes in this match, 46 of 49 passing. He won his only tackle. He didn't do much wrong or right, but he's really, really good at keeping the width and getting up the field. And so there's a couple of times where, he follows the pass or he plays a nice cross in, but just really gives himself as an option outright. And he let Perisic come inside constantly. And that's how he scored his goal, really being able to operate more in those half spaces than as a true right winger. And so I like that a lot about Ledesma. I mean, his defense is not the best in the world, but he doesn't really put a foot wrong. Often we know we can attack the goal. He's an attacking midfielder, winger turned right back. And I really think he kind of deserves a chance in this U.S. men's national team side. And I hope that the return of Serginho Dest at PSV does not end Ledesma's run in the side, because he's been very, very good for them this season. On to Josh Sargent. I mean, what is there to say other than Josh Sargent's in the form of his life? He had 2 great goals in this 4-2 win over Stoke. He only touched the ball 12 times. In 86 minutes, he touches the ball 12 times. He completes 5 of 7 passes, but of the 12 touches, 2 of them were excellent goals. And the second one, I mean, it speaks for itself. This finish. This is just a confident goal scorer. This is 7 goals in his last 6 matches. He has Norwich up to 4 points off the promotion playoffs. But again, it's like, what does Josh Sargent offer the U.S. men's national team that a Balogun when he's fit or a Ricardo Pepi when he's fit does not? I don't know. I don't know that he will get the chance. I mean, March is going to be his biggest opportunity of his lifetime with the U.S. men's national team, where if he doesn't, show what he can offer against Panama in the semifinals and then potentially in the final against Canada or Mexico, he may not be in the squad come this summer if Haji Wright is fit, because Josh Sargent just has not done it for the U.S. men's national team. I know there are people calling out for him to be the number 9 no matter who is fit. But this may just be a championship level striker. And we saw him really struggle in the Premier League. We saw him really struggle in the Bundesliga after he initially broke into the Bundesliga. We've seen him do excellently for Norwich City here in the championship, and the goals are coming. He's getting in the right places. But the link-up play continues to be an issue where he's not a force. He does not show to the ball enough. He really likes to get the ball, in the box, as many strikers do, but he doesn't always put in the hard work. We're going to have to see what happens with Josh in March, but as long as he's scoring goals for Norwich, obviously right now he is the only fit number 9 for the U.S. men's national team. Tanner Tessman has become a huge presence at Lyon since the sacking, and under the new manager at Lyon, he's playing pretty much every week, and it's not just these 7 minutes here, 20 minutes here, start and get 51 minutes. He played 90 minutes in a 3-2 loss to PSG. He had 26 of 30 passing. He had one chance created, a shot on target, which was a beautiful, hard-curling first-time effort that Donnarumma match either one of them. I mean, Matic is obviously way more experienced, one of the best defensive midfielders the last 20 years, an excellent, excellent player. But once Matic came off, Tessman was much, much better. He needs a ball-carrying pivot like Tolisso and Almada when they came on. He needs somebody who's going to be an energizer, who's going to get on the ball, who's going to, make those crunching tackles. And having watched this match, they did lose to PSG, but Tessman really could work well alongside Tyler Adams. I mean, the more I watched just the last couple of weeks of all of these guys, Tanner Tessman, Tyler Adams, and Weston McKennie right now is the best midfield that the U.S. men's national team can put out against Panama in March. I'm sure of that. Tyler Adams obviously is in excellent form. Tanner Tessman continues to get better, and as he plays more and more at Lyon, as he plays more for them in the Europa League against teams like PSG, where, these are the kind of matches that it's going to be most similar almost to what it'll be like in a major tournament for the U.S. men's national team, because Lyon really weren't in the game until, they tried to play deep. They tried to hold the, PSG out and get them on the counter, but once PSG got up to a 2-0 lead, Tessman and the rest of Lyon had to really try and bring the game to them. And that's when Tanner Tessman can be so excellent in possession. I mean, those times when he gets the ball in the middle of the park, coming off the right side, gets it onto his left foot and plays those long, curling left-footed passes. I mean, his spraying of the ball is his best ability. And he can only do that if he doesn't have too much defensive responsibility. When I saw him at the Olympics, I thought Tanner Tessman was, a true single pivot 6. But I think at higher levels, he does need that ball winner next to him, that ball carrier next to him as well, like a Tyler Adams. And so as much as Johnny Cardoso, who we will talk about, is playing excellent football, I think Adams Cardoso doesn't really make any sense dynamically for me. I think Cardoso Tessman could work, but Cardoso is so much more of a controller the way that a Matic or a Jorginho is. And so I think Tessman needs Tyler Adams next to him, and I think that's the most dynamic double pivot we can get under Pochettino that has good defensive acumen, but also players who are willing to both carry the ball and play the ball forward with their feet. So that's what I learned from Tanner Tessman in Lyon's match in the 3-2 loss against PSG. Back to the Serie A, Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musa unfortunately got knocked out in the Champions League against Feyenoord. Gio Hernandez got sent off, and Milan was just not on it. Neither really put a foot wrong at any point in this match, but did miss his first ever penalty in his professional career, as you can see. Unlucky for Pulisic. I think he'll continue to be the penalty taker because, as we've seen from the rest of the squad, it really has not been pretty from the penalty spot. But 3 chances created nonetheless for Pulisic in this match. And, they're in an uphill battle right now to play Champions League football next year, play European football next year. They're out of the Champions League. It's a long season ahead for them under Conceição. And Yunus Musa did not have his best match either in this 2-1 loss to Torino, although he did have 1 chance created and 26 of 28 passing. On to the Celtic center back partnership of Austin Trusty and Cameron Carter-Vickers, who had an absolutely heartbreaking last-minute goal given up against Bayern Munich in that 1-1 draw in the Champions League. And listen, I mean, you guys know on this podcast, we have been very hard on Cameron Carter-Vickers, and I was the first to say it. He was at fault for that goal being let up. he is too slow to react in the box over and over again. It's the same reason why right-hand side from the right-hand half space, he is always too slow to react. And in this match, that's exactly how Alphonso Davies scored that game-winning goal, that tie-winning goal. The ball came over Cameron Carter-Vickers' head. He was already had lost his man, and instead of being ready to pounce on a potential rebound, he's sitting there basically just giving up. The ball bounces. Cameron Carter-Vickers barely gets a foot to it, can't clear it. Ball goes in the back of the net. And I feel bad for the Celtic side because they put in an excellent performance against Bayern Munich, away to Bayern Munich. And Austin Trusty, Trusty is such an odd one where he is very assured on the ball, and he'll have a good match here and there, but then he'll just switch off. And he really did that in the match in the league, actually, but he didn't do that in this Bayern match. Trusty was excellent. 43 of 46 passing. He won his only tackles, 7 clearances, 2 of 4 duels won. Cameron Carter-Vickers had 9 clearances in this match. I mean, the two of them were very solid until that last minute. But then what was shocking, even more shocking than this heartbreaking draw that they did find themselves in at the end of the match with Bayern Munich, was the 2-1 loss to Hibs in the league, which is a very rare thing, obviously, for Celtic. Trusty, 83 of 84 passing, 4 of 4 long balls, all the excellent things we see on the ball, but switched off a couple of times, and the Celtic fans were very, very frustrated with the goals that were let in, at fault to Austin Trusty once or twice. The two of them, it's an interesting one, like where if you said to a U.S. men's national team fan, we're going to have a center back pairing that plays for a specific team that's in the Champions League, that made it to the knockout rounds, who almost beat Bayern Munich, would they be the starting center back pair for the U.S. men's national team? Kind of on paper, that would make sense. But I don't think Austin Trusty's going to make the March squad. Cameron Carter-Vickers will make the squad, but he's not really up to the level. It's just, what happens next? Like, is Cameron Carter-Vickers, I mean, there were obviously links to Bayer Leverkusen. Is he going to take that step up? I mean, how far does Cameron Carter-Vickers' club career have to go before he's in consideration for the U.S. men's national team? I don't think he's one of our best 4 center backs. I really don't. But it's just an odd situation to see players, thrive and play so consistently. And we're at the point as a country where, even though they're doing this in the Champions League, we're not seeing them for the U.S. men's national team. On to Johnny Cardoso, who I obviously have already mentioned. A very solid performance for him in the 90 minutes that he played in the 2-1 win over Getafe. I mean, this side has really thrived, as crazy as it sounds, since Antony has made his move from Manchester United. He was excellent in this match. He actually had a really nice little 2-man game with Johnny Cardoso, where Johnny played a little flick over a man, started dribbling into space, played it out to Antony, got the ball down inside the box, back from Antony, and won a corner kick for the side. But Johnny just continues to show that he's a controller. He's always in the right places defensively. He's not going to do anything rash. He's not a ball carrier. He doesn't have the most expansive passing range. I mean, he likes to play the ball forward when it's there, but he's happy to play sideways, pop back up in between the center backs and play on from there. Good duel winner, 6 duels won in this match. Just overall, very good player. I'm excited to see his move this summer because I do think he'll leave Betis. I hope it's not to Tottenham, honestly, because that would really not be... I mean, they do need a controller type, but I'm not sure that this is the type of squad that would be best for Johnny. I think if the links are still there for him to go to Germany or to the Serie A, I'd like to see that. I mean, we've seen Americans really thrive in the Serie A, and I think Johnny wouldn't be any different than any of those players. I mean, again, I always make the player comp to Jorginho and how good Jorginho was at Napoli. I think Johnny Cardoso really would thrive in the Serie A. Chris Richards and Anthony Robinson went up against each other as Crystal Palace won 2-0. So a clean sheet for Chris Richards, 90 minutes. Since he's come back into the side, and I laugh at the fact that we were talking about Chris Richards not being in this Crystal Palace side moving forward, needing to get a move out. You know what? He was injured. He had some personal stuff going on. He's back on the pitch. He's back to being Crystal Palace's one of their most important players. Great again in this match, 30 of 39 passing, 6 of 8 duels won, 6 clearances, was not dribbled past once, and that's against a very, very skilled Fulham side. Obviously, Iwobi's having a great season, Smith Rowe's having a great season, Anthony Robinson having a great season. Chris Richards was a rock in this match and a key part in this 2-0 win, and Anthony... he did his Anthony thing, 49 of 59 passing. He had 2 successful dribbles. He actually won all 4 of his aerial duels, 4 of 11 ground duels won. He won the most duels of anyone in this match. Continues to be the captain for Fulham. They're in 9th place in the league. If they finish in the top half and Anthony's the captain, he may set the record for the most assists a fullback ever has in a Premier League season. Just continues to kind of defy all logic, the career of Anthony Robinson. Tyler Adams with a rare non-start for Bournemouth in their 1-0 loss to Wolves, playing just 30 minutes as they were down to 10 men. Mark McKenzie really, really boring match in a 4-1 win over Le Havre. Watched the whole match. Mark McKenzie, 48 of 50 passing, but almost nothing came down his flank. For some reason, he was out at that left center back role in a back five. So really very kind of almost isolated out on that left center back role, and everything came down the opposite flank. Toulouse, though, in great news, are only 6 points off of European spots at the moment, actually chasing Lyon there. So Mark McKenzie's a very crucial part of Toulouse's team and continues to play week in and week out. Joe Scally continues to play every week for Mönchengladbach, played 90 minutes as they lost 3-0. Aiden Morris, 90 minutes and a 2-1 loss to Bristol City. He's getting back in the side, back to full fitness. 35 of 40 passing, 6 of 11 ground duels won, and 3 interceptions. Then the last couple of things just to talk about. Noah Kai Banks, we spoke about him quite a bit over the last month, but after a consistent run of games, he has not been involved really at all, playing just 12 minutes in the last 4 matches. That is our roundup for Yanks abroad this week and our Americans abroad. I hope you enjoyed this new format where we're really kind of diving in more specifically to all the players getting involved. Every week we'll do 3 or 4 kind of more in-depth with a lot of footage, kind of looking at players who had good performances, bad performances. But the big takeaway from this episode is Gio Reyna not only needs a move, but he needs a restart. He needs to go play in the Eredivisie, go play in the Serie A, go play for a little bit of a lower level team than a Dortmund where he can play week in and week out and regain the confidence of a young player that we saw 3-4 years ago. He is a hider right now, and he needs to be a box crasher. He needs to be an aggressive attacking midfielder. That's the only way to be a 10 in today's modern game. The old 10 of just kind of popping up here and there and making a couple of deadly passes, the old, hiding in between the lines. Like, no, you need to show for the ball. You need to get on the ball. You need to be a ball carrier, and you need to get into the right areas because Gio Reyna right now has just lost all confidence. And as great as he is, I don't think he can be a starter in this U.S. men's national team until he gets that form back. So thanks for watching Yanks Abroad. Hit that subscribe button while you're here. We're going to be doing more detailed stuff as well on TikTok, so make sure you're following us on TikTok and on Instagram and on Twitter. We're going to get some threads going on some younger players, some potential dual nationalities. It's a big next few months ahead for the U.S. men's national team and for Yanks Abroad. We got March around the corner, the next international break, and then, of course, the Gold Cup this summer. So a lot of fun to cover. Thanks for watching.